Welcome back to Rearview Diaries. I'm Paul, your driver, your host, and your fellow traveler through these stories. After thousands of rides, I learned something about the backseat of the car. You never really know who's going to be behind you. You don't know where they come from, what they've gone through, and what they sacrificed to be where they are, or what dream they might still be chasing. Sometimes you pick someone up thinking that you're simply taking them home, and somewhere along the way, they remind you to look at your own life a little differently. Today's story is about one of those rides. It's about a man who grew up thousands of miles away, watching America on television screen, and promising himself that one day he would be here. This is living the American dream. It was early in the morning when I pulled up and picked up my passenger. A man walked toward the car wearing a hospital scrub. He climbed to the back seat, greeted me with a big smile, and thanked me for picking him up. Then he thanked me again and again. I could tell he was exhausted. He has just finished a long overnight shift at the hospital. But when I looked at him through my rearview mirror, I didn't see exhaustion. I saw happiness. I saw gratitude. I saw someone who seemed genuinely happy just to be going home. We started talking, and almost immediately he asked me a question. "Where are you from?" I laughed. Usually I'm the one asking the question. I told him that I lived in Los Angeles and I was born in Korea and spent part of my childhood in Japan. His face lit up. He goes, "I love Asia," he said. And just like that, two strangers from completely different parts of the world had something to talk about. His history. I asked him where he was from. He said Tunisia. Then I asked what he did in the hospital. "I'm a nurse," he said. He worked in the operating room. And naturally, my next question was, "How did you end up here?" He smiled, and that's when the ride changed. He told me when he was a kid growing up in Tunisia, he watched lots of American television shows and movies. America excited him through the television screen. He saw families living in nice homes, people with careers, opportunities, possibilities. He specifically remembered watching The Cosby Show. To him, that family represented something much bigger than a television program. It represented life, a successful career, a beautiful home, a family, stability, opportunity. And somewhere along the way, this young boy from Tunisia made a decision. That's the life I want. Not Germany, not England, not Canada, America. He wanted the American dream. But here's what I found interesting about the story. He didn't simply dream about America. He started to figure out how to get here. Turning a dream into a plan. He researched, he studied, and eventually discovered something. America needed nurses. That became his path. So he learned English, he studied nursing, he worked in Tunisia and gained experience. And all the while that childhood dream stayed with him, eventually he applied for an opportunity to come to the United States, and finally the door opened. His first opportunity was in North Carolina. He called it his break. He arrived in America, began working at a hospital. But getting here wasn't the finish line. For him, it was the starting line. Every chance he got, he learned something new. He trained in different specialties. He gained new skills. He looked for ways to become more valuable, to advance, to earn more, to create a better future. And slowly, step by step, the picture he had carried in his mind since childhood started to become real. His first milestone. He told me about one of his proudest moments. buying his first house. He smiled when he talked about it, because to him, it wasn't simply a real estate. It wasn't about the square footage. It wasn't about a mortgage. That house represented something much bigger. It was proof that a little boy sitting in Tunisia watching an American television had actually made it here. He told me that was one step closer to my American dream. Think about that for a moment. Something many of us might see as ordinary meant everything to him. A front door, a place to call his own, a home in America. Building a life. His career continued to grow. Eventually, a bigger opportunity brought him to Atlanta. By then, his dream had grown beyond himself. He had a wife, children, a home. He was able to bring his father to America. The young boy from Tunisia wasn't watching American Dream anymore. He was living it inside. But what impressed me the most wasn't what he had accumulated. It was how he wanted to teach his children. He told me that he constantly reminds them that nothing should be taken for granted. He tells them, "Look at your father. I came all the way from Africa. I had a goal. I worked for it. And now I'm here." Then he said something I won't forget. "Nothing is handed to you. If you want something, you have to earn it. And if you want to succeed, you have to work harder than anyone else around you." That moment that stayed with me. As we drove through Atlanta toward his home, he looked out the window, and there was something almost childlike in the way he looked at the city. Then he said, "Look at this. I'm living amongst Americans. I'm succeeding." There was no arrogance to his voice. It was pride and gratitude. Almost disbelief that the dream he once watched from thousands of miles away had become his everyday life. Then he said something else, something that stayed with me long after the ride ended. He told me that sometimes he looks at people who have opportunities but don't pursue them, and he wonders why. He said, "If someone like me can come all the way from Africa and build a life here, why not them?" That question stayed with me. Why not them? And maybe more importantly, why not us? We eventually pulled up to his home. He thanked me again. He opened the door and stepped out and walked towards the life he had spent years building. And for a few seconds, I sat there. I thought about everything he had told me. I thought about the little boy in Tunisia watching American television. And I thought about the English lessons, the nursing school, the visa application, leaving his home country, starting over, the overnight shifts, the additional training, the first house, his father, his wife, his children. And then I started to think about my own life. That's one of the strange gifts rideshare has given me. Sometimes passenger tells me their story and suddenly I start examining mine. And I realize something. I am living in my version of the American dream too. I have work that I enjoy. I've been fortunate to build a career doing something I love. I'm compensated for my work. I've had opportunities I couldn't have imagined when I was younger. And now I'm sitting behind the wheel of a car, meeting strangers and discovering another passion, telling their stories. Maybe that's part of my American dream too. Thank you for listening. This was Living the American Dream. I am Paul. Thank you for riding along with me. And before you go, ask yourself one question. What does your dream look like? And maybe even more important questions. What are you doing today to get one step closer to it? Until next time, keep moving forward and keep looking into your rearview mirror.